Yo,
Yo,
how you doing?
doing well.
Are we on stream right now?
Of course, I've been streaming. I just did a quickie of what's his face IBDW versus Hungry Box.
You analyzed it?
Yeah,
How was your Father's Day?
it was good. I just went to dinner and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we did this it's a really nice spot at around Westlake Village. It had like big water and like we were all like weather was nice. There was like a little buffet. Everyone was having like mimosas and shit. It was felt bougie.
Felt bougie. Nice. Did you get
Yeah.
like some like crab
Uh
legs?
they had stuff like that, but I didn't do any of that.
Oh, okay. Well,
I went for the simple. Dude, I'm a smasher. I got like the fried shrimp and shit, you know.
got it.
Those are
What's
the best.
what's your like go to for like buffets? Like if you went to like Evo today.
I try to have a little bit of everything. I'll have literally like you know uh, not even a handful of like literally everything they have. I'll just a little bite. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, get what you like, right?
Yeah. So anyway, this is pretty crazy. Because while all that was going on, I was being a terrible son and watching Summit like on my phone, on the side, like pretty much all day. you know, uh, I do. It's funny how paralyzing good melee can be. Like I literally can't like if I wanted to do something else with my life, like if other people have had obligations, I don't know if I could have. I was so glued to the screen, like I could not stop watching.
I think mesmerizing is like a really good word to put it, right? It's like being in the audience of like an anime watching these two like super powerful people like fight, right? And you just stand in awe. That's like how I feel.
Yeah, you just want to know how the anime ends, and you know that like it's not the same watching the VOD, so it's just like you want to be in the moment. It's really exciting, and I gotta admit, this is one of the most entertaining tournaments of all time. So, um, it's up there, that's for sure. I had a blast watching it.
Does this validate your Pikachu's top three? Where do you put Pikachu again?
I I don't have him in top three. I actually put him in like fifth or sixth, something around there. Though I mean, like, dude, you catch me on a different day, and I'm like, dude, this character's broken. Put him in the put him even up there. You can see me put him there. And honestly, man, like, look, and after these powers, uh, I if you just watch enough melee, you see that Axe has been steadily getting better. Right, like it's just obvious if you're watching his gameplay. Like he's doing new things. It is not like I think the narrative that I really hate right now is that people are acting like, oh, Armada and Mewtwo aren't active right now, and therefore Axe is winning. I'm like, that is not actually what's happening at all. Armada maybe, but Axe was doing really well against Mewtwo right before Mewtwo stopped entering recently, and it's just such an unfair criticism because Armada going away was the blocker for like everybody. Like not it wasn't just Axe, right? Like who would be number one right now? Like look, you could I think you could say the same thing for Hungry Box's reign. You could say the same thing for Leffen, for anybody, because Armada was beating everybody. That's just how it goes when you're Armada, right? It was particularly bad for Axe, but I think it's a false narrative because he's actually just straight up gotten better. Like it is impossible to say otherwise. He is much better now than he was last year,
Yeah,
and that's really impressive to
I
me.
think strangely enough, like I think Axe right now, even before he won, it felt like he's having the time. Like I've never seen him enjoy melee this much, like in years. Like where
Yeah.
he's always been stressed and like worried about like performing and the anxieties that come with like traveling to events. Like I've never seen him as happy as he's been like in years. I don't remember the last time he's been like this pumped to go to events.
Yeah, I mean, good reason he goes to. Like, straight up, at Tefo, I'm going to ask you the big who is number one in the world right now?
Honestly, I was gonna ask you like what you thought because
There's one correct answer. It's Axe. Axe is number one in the world right now.
Axe is number one.
He's number one.
Wait.
I think you can't make an argument
You can.
for anyone
Okay,
else right
okay.
now.
What do you mean by right now? Like, do we mean 2019,
Well, I
or
mean specifically
if we're
right now, but
if we're saying right now, or if we were to see a
I
tournament?
don't know about the year rankings, Like as in like has he earned enough to say in 2019 if the PGR the MIOM rankings were made right now, would he be number one? It's close, right? But what I know is he's the best player right now, and that's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you ask me right now who was the best player in the world, I'll tell you Ash.
Okay.
And that's
I think one of the big things here is now we can entertain these kind of discussions, whereas a year ago it's just like no, like Hungrybox, right? Like, what if Wizzy won this event? Like, would he be number one? Like,
arguably,
like he would arguably
Wizzy might be number two. Wizzy might be number two. It's stupid, but I actually felt like Grands was the two best players in the world right now playing against each other. I don't want to put that as a slight to HBox, but look, he's back in the workforce. Crunch is no longer his coach, right? He's working at Google. He's kind of part-time coaching. Like he's helping him out a little bit sometimes. Like he was at Summit here, but overall, like he's not like really focused on coaching HBox, and it's made a huge difference, dude. It's a night and day difference. Coaching makes a difference. You see with Amsla getting Kaito to work with him. V-Man has been putting more time with Axe. It's clear. Coaching is a big deal, dude. It changes a lot, and when you have someone else focused on helping you improve, I think it makes a difference. I don't want to put too much on that because I also think that HBox in particular, it's based on his tweets, his demeanor. I think he's just, he's kind of in the sunken place, as Homemade Waffles would say. He's not in the best mental zone. That IBW said, I give Cody all the credit in the world, but that was not Hungrybox. That straight up was not Hungrybox. I watched. It was not him.
It was. It's been pretty interesting. So there's 2 points I want to talk about. There's one at Smash Summit. It felt like he was going through the motions, right? Like he wasn't. It didn't really feel like he was inching his way to like figuring out his opponent. He was just like, I hope I can get through this, doing my standard puff stuff. But IBDW played at such a level that IBDW was not giving him anything. And this leads to my second point of now this is 3 tournaments in a row, and 2 of these tournaments have been greatly below the standards that we have for Hungrybox, where he got 5th at Smash Summit and 5th at Gommel. He did get 2nd in Smash and Splash, but now it's like if he continues to flame out and like Wizrobe and Axe like plays better than him again, then like I think you have to say like Hungrybox, you're not number 1 in the world anymore. You've underperformed and
well, he's not number 1 in the world right now. Period. Right? Like, let's make something clear. Even if you're talking about the full 2019 year-end rankings, blah blah blah, he has an argument then because Genesis is Genesis and it is what it is. But if you're seeding a tournament right now and you're not putting Axe number 1, you're literally just stupid. Like it's wrong. It's incorrect, right? If you just look at the breadth of play over the last like 3-4 months, dude, he's been the best player. It's impossible to say otherwise.
I think no,
especially if you look at it on a matchup spec. Especially if you look at like versus the exact competitors that he's facing.
I think
he's extremely favored. Extremely favored against Zane. He's extremely favored against Wizzy. He's extremely I would say he is favored or generally I like his chances against Leffen and Mango. Against HBox.
I'll give you 1-1 against HBox. I'll give you 1-1 against HBox.
1-1, okay, sure. Against HBox.
No. Do you want to bet? But, you want to bet?
That's his worst one. But the point is that you look at a list and look, that's not so dissimilar than HBox's reign where he was losing to Armada, but he was beating everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Like right now, everyone kind of has a few players that they lose to. Wizzy would have a hard time against Mango and Plup. You could probably add Plup to Axe's list, but it's hard to say, right? But ultimately, I think his spread of matches, especially because he beats some people hard, like Zane, right? And overall, like the Falcons, and he tends to do really well against Spacies, leads to me to believe that on any given tournament, he's more likely to beat people than other. It's part of the argument I've always made for that Pikachu's so good is because fact of the matter is 70 to 80% of your bracket is going to be 4 characters: Marth, Fox, Falco, and Falcon. That's just the way the community works, right? And Pikachu's good against those characters. So ultimately, Axe does really well because he has a good spread against most of the bracket.
Yeah, I think he just needs to avoid Hungrybox and Ice Climbers. If he Like,
Yeah.
but like Ice Climbers, very fortunately to Axe, like right now, is like off meta. Like Army, Bananas, and like Chew are losing to like half the field right now. So like I think it's a really good meta.
You mean X campaign for wobbling to be banned, and now half the tournaments are going and half the tournaments aren't, and the ice climbers are kind of, in a weird spot where they don't know what to practice, what to do, and now they're not doing so well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yeah.
It's funny how that works.
He put in his Congress lobbying dollars to anti-wobbling, and here we are now. I'm actually okay with that universe, but I want to ask you something. So I think Wizzy also has a strong contention for number one. If we just look at the last three tournaments, second at Smash Summit, first at Smash and Splash, and fourth at Gommel. I think that's really impressive as a resume. I think it rivals Axe.
It is really impressive. I think it's a second place resume, but it's a really impressive resume. Right?
Like Axe just lost to SFAT recently.
Yeah, happens, man. Like SFAT's pretty good. Like, would you on any given day give it to SFAT right now? I mean, Axe is beating SFAT too, right? Like, wasn't the tournament after that he beat SFAT? So ultimately, like, Axe is a spacey killer, and I think again, to the arguments I always make for Pikachu, he has FD and FOD in those fast faller matchups. Most characters don't have two stages where you're like, damn,
Yeah,
right? Like Pikachu just has two stages.
Well, I think
that's so good.
I think the interesting thing here is like, we have people much more willing to make decisions to win. Like, do you think Spaceys are going to pick another character in the future on Axe on FD? Like, conceding that this is very unlikely a winnable matchup on FD, it's like might as well just give him the win. Do you think?
But having said that, I don't think they'll do that. You know why? Because I think we're in a weird era where solo maining is becoming almost necessary. Secondaries are kind of going out of flavor. Have you noticed that, Tafo? And I think the reason for that is because the level of play has gotten so high that keeping two characters in shape has just gotten absurdly difficult. It is extraordinarily difficult to have two good characters nowadays. And to be like good and switch with like the small drop off you make from switching to your secondary and like trying to warm them up for the first stock is enough nowadays to just lose you the set. So I don't know. I haven't seen people do secondaries as much as I'm used to in Melee,
Yeah.
And maybe that's because, Mewtwo King is less active, but frankly, like over the last few years, his secondaries have kind of been getting washed as it is, right? Like it's you've seen less of his Fox. His Peach has kind of gone away completely, even in the match with Peach wins. His Sheik, like there's times where people are like, man, maybe you should go only Marth, right? And Mango's not going Fox anymore. Our Armada's gone, but like, that is what it is. What it is. If you just look at the top players right now, almost all of them are solo main.
Yeah.
And it's a weird era in that sense because we're used to people being dual or tri mains in the last like 5-6 years in Melee. But I think it's concentrated down. You have to become a master. You have to become a master of your character to be top level nowadays.
Aren't you happy that Axe didn't go like FOD or Yoshi's, that he just went straight to FD? Because I feel like in the past, like when FD is like the obvious choice, like he'd for some reason pick these other stages, and it's actually cost him some sets where I'm just like, FDs are literally free stage. And what I also want to add here is that let's say 5 stages are 50-50. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, Falcon, Pikachu on the 5 other stages, I'm not saying this is true, but just using this as an example, is 50-50. The fact of the matter that FD is like an 80 to 85% win rate. If you play out a best of 5, Pikachu by default, just with that strong counter pick, wins sets 65% of the time. Just on that strong counter pick and assuming everything's equal.
And let's not forget that FOD is also absurdly good.
Yeah. This is just FD.
Yeah. So it's like there's 2 of them. Right? There's 2 which I think are potentially 70+% win.
Okay. What do you say? What are your matchups for FD and FOD percentage?
For Falcon Pikachu?
Yeah. Because I feel like Wizzy played really well.
It's really high. It's like probably 75%.
I think it's 80.
FD maybe 80.
It might be 85.
And FOD is like 65, 70, something like that.
Okay.
Like FOD I don't think is as good as FD, but god damn it's good.
So with those 2 numbers, assuming everything else is 50-50, like Pikachu by default should...
And they're not. And it's not, by the way. It's not.
Pikachu...
I think Pikachu wins on the other stages slightly too.
Except for Stadium. I think Stadium Falcon wins.
maybe Falcon Dreamland and Stadium, I think are evenish.
Yeah.
About even. But like I think Battlefield slight advantage Pikachu for sure. What's the other stages?
Yoshi's.
Am I missing a stage? Yoshi's is probably Pikachu advantage. It's close though.
All right, let's say they're 55.
I think Falcon has to go there almost sometimes, but
okay, so 50. Yeah. Let's say in those matchup scenarios, assuming like the players themselves are roughly equal, like Pikachu wins like 71% of the time.
Yeah, Pikachu destroys Falcon. I think Wizzy doing that well is awesome. It's incredible for him because what I was watching him do you understand how hard his game plan was? He was literally going right next to Pikachu and trying to, because he's got the stupid reaction times that just don't make any sense and like no other human can even match it. He tries to dash away back it. Pikachu's approach it on reaction. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's like that is so hard, especially the distances he was trying to do it at. I'm not talking about full distance, right? I'm talking about he was trying to do it at mid distances, and I'm like, dude, you are trying to rely on reactions, and you're playing this play style that's so ridiculously hard. And he was grabbing tech in place, like he was just going all out. If he misses those grabs on tech in place, he dies. Yeah,
I think what's crazy is like even then it's like Axe, because like what that back air is calling out is Axe immediately jumping in and naring, right? That's what it beats. Yeah. But like you just saw Axe just instead of jumping, he just ran a bit further and then started his nair as back air ended, and now you have a different mix-up.
Exactly, because he like at the very least he's trying to like react to dash forward. What if Axe dash forwards and does nothing? Right, and just keep following it. Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah,
it's a tough matchup. Obviously, it's not an unwinnable territory. But I do think Pikachu wins. There's no doubt in my mind. At least with what we know right now, you never know with Melee. Melee's a crazy game. I think Wizzy's incredible for taking it that far, and to take a set even is just insane. I think Axe like going to second set, it was like, dude, this is the best situation you could ever have. You're against a Falcon and Grands, like don't blow this one. This is like the Melee universe finally giving you one on a platter. Like, take it.
Yeah, I think to add, like, it's like Wizzy may have had a specific game plan, and like I've worked with Pew Pew and SFAT, and I've heard discussions where they're prepping and they have some ideas, and then Axe will just go like, "Hey, that counter that you created to win the set, I know how to beat that. You're gonna have to readapt to me again."
Yeah, and I think it's possible. I think I'd love to see more done for like anti Pikachu for Falcon. I think there's obviously stuff like I think when Pikachu's above Falcon, that's destruction, right? The up air is just so good. And you can use your shield to like let them cross you up and kind of play the patient game, and like be smart about it. There's ways to do it. Wizzy's obviously a god for taking it that far. But it didn't. I was in the same position that you were when you made that tweet, where it's like Axe has 2 sets to beat Wizrobe, like a player I find him pretty favored against. Like this should be his time.
Yeah. And I think to bring it up, like I give full credit to Axe, but I think what's like more interesting is that this highlights the state of Melee, where there's so much parity that, like, to win. Like, we say this in the NBA Finals, injuries and matchups play a large role. And, like, there's going to be no team that makes it and wins that didn't have a lucky injury or a lucky shot go their way. The Warriors last year with Chris Paul. This year, the Warriors' whole lineup in the finals, that's its own thing. But, like, Axe is not going to have to face Hungrybox every time. Wizzy's going to be able to avoid Mango. It's not a given that they're going to run into these players because they might lose to other players. So this really opens the field for who can win the next event.
Yeah, but it should be said that on the whole, they have a better spread, right? Like, on the whole, these guys, like, I don't think I could say for any other player that they're favored against 4 of the other 6.
Hungrybox?
Like Axe. Is Hungrybox favored against... He's not... I don't know if he's favored against Wizzy right now, right?
Yeah.
I'd say he's probably favored against Axe, right? For sure.
Plup.
He's definitely favored against Plup, yeah.
Mango?
It's close, right?
No. I think we always remember the set that he wins.
Okay, true.
But like, and then Zane,
you have to pull farther back.
Yeah,
and Zane, even-ish, right?
Hungrybox has been winning. Like,
Sure.
Like I think we
Xbox
have
little bit
we
ahead.
have selective memory against Hungrybox because whenever it happens, we all remember it. But like Mango was like 1 in 10 in like 2018 against Hungrybox. Like it was like something like atrocious.
That was yeah. But here's the thing, Tafo. You're talking about you can't pull 2018 data right now. Is what I'm trying to say. He's not the same player. At least right now. I'm talking about right now. He's not. Dude, he was almost getting 4-1 against IBDW. That happened a few hours ago. Like that is not 2018 HBox, and I think he can regain form, and I think he can, get right back into it. But let's stop pulling out 2018 HBox numbers and like putting on the legacy for him, because he hasn't been performing for the last like 2-3 months now, like to the level that he's expected to. That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. I think the peak 2018 Hungrybox that like was like on a rampage to win everything. It's very evident that like he's not playing at that level.
He's got to split some of his salary to Crunch, man. He's got to do whatever he can to get that guy back. He needs to drop some bills, man. Pay the man. Pay Crunch.
I think Vro made a really interesting tweet, which I want to really look up. So there's been 12 unique, whatever classification he uses, you can disagree, but he calls it 12 super winners, whatever that means. Like there's Azin, PC Chris, Ken, in the like MLG Evo era, and then Mango, Hungrybox, PPMD, Armada, and then later we add Leffen, Plup, and then most recently Zane, Wizard, and Axe. Like the
I would add a few others to that list. Captain Jack definitely has won a big tournament. Like there's others, but sure.
Yeah,
I'd say Isaiah's most 3 win. It should count as a super win. Like there's a few others I'd probably add to the list, but maybe they don't want to go before MLG era.
Yeah, and I guess there's
That's fine. That's
for
fine.
whatever reason this list also doesn't put Mewtwo King.
Doesn't. What about Korean DJ? Korean DJ, absolutely.
Yeah, it didn't include Mewtwo King for some reason, so the list is incomplete. But
okay, so it's just wrong. It's a wrong list. But that's fine.
But the point being that I guess in like recent times we've had Axe, Wizrobe, Zane, and like you flash back to 2017. It's like like maybe they could take a set off of like 1 or maybe 2, but they're not going to make a run. And these people are now making runs. Yeah. I think what's the cool thing about this is like it just really shows like like Melee transcends any player. Like when players leave, like new players step up to the plate, and even if like all the 5 original quote unquote gods like leave the game, like there's still so much Melee to be had, and so much to be learned, and so much to be developed, and so much to be watched.
Yeah, and honestly, like I had a similar experience with me and Brood War, where basically like a lot of the top players are going to go to military service because that's what they do. Flash didn't enter some tournaments, whatever, like some of the best players of all time, right? And you're just like, man, I don't know if I'm hype about it. And then you watch the games, you're like, oh, the real star is the game, not any one person, right? And the same is true for Melee. Like, look, all we really lost was Armada. I think Mewtwo King's he's even said he's going to come back, right? Like he's just taking a little break.
Yeah.
And dude, the star is Melee. It's not any one of us. We're all replaceable. The game is really what's important here, and we all just try to leave our mark. That's all it is.
Okay, I got a better list. Shouts to everyone butting. Armada, Mango, Hungrybox, Ken, Mewtwo King, PPMD, Leffen, Azin, Chew, PC, Plup, Isaiah, Korean DJ, Captain Jack, Zane, and Wizrobe, and then now Axe.
Yeah, that's a crazy list. Those are the greatest players of all time.
That'd be kind of...
Also, this bumps up Axe's status, I think, in all-time lists, like considerably. I think he might be a top 10 all-time. It's you look at the players who are around that range, but like we usually put Isaiah as like 11th-ish, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Is Axe, his legacy at this point, better than Isaiah? Probably.
How about Korean DJ?
That's closer, but yeah, probably. I think maybe. So he might be top 10 all time now. This is a big deal for his legacy because he's already got the longevity story, right? Which is a big deal. But now he's got that crown jewel finally, where you're like, okay, he was really at the top of the game, right? And also, look, even if this little era doesn't last, if this little Pikachu era does, there is a point in time where you can call Axe the best in the world. That is usually a big deal on all-time lists that we try to say, hey, but this person was never the best, you know. It's usually a knock people make on like a player like Chudat, right? Where Chu was never the best. He was second best sometimes, but he was never the best in the world. You can say with Axe, there was a period in time where you can argue him to be the best in the world. That's a big deal.
Yeah. It may not be 100% true, but at least we can entertain these discussions. And I always view these in kind of degrees, right?
For some players, you can't even have a discussion.
Exactly.
You know?
It's always degrees for me, and I hope that our audience doesn't realize it's like a black and white, and then people are quoting us saying, "Oh yeah, we think," like we're just saying that he's part of the discussion now, and I think that's an important part.
Yeah. Well, you tell me. I've been the one giving opinions. Who's your best in the world right now?
God, I know everyone like I'm peer pressure to pick Axe, but I think if I were to go forward and see the next tournament, I actually put Wizzy number 1.
Wow. Okay, but who's your number 2?
I'd probably put Axe. Like,
Okay, so and your 3 is it HBox?
I can't. I'm gonna just tentatively say HBox. I'm not sure if I like that pick, but it's a placeholder pick.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won 2 events this year. You still have to put that into consideration. Second at Smash and Splash, worst placing 5th. Like,
he's still hungry box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I don't even disagree with that entirely. I kind of like that seeding because I want Axe to have another shot at Hungry Box. Like, I want to see if it's actually true that dude's a wall for him, because it's been a few months now and he's been getting better. And hey, man, that Genesis stuff, that was really close.
Yeah.
You know. I don't think it's a correct narrative to say that like, oh yeah, but he just didn't run to HBox. I'm like, dude, are you sure he can't beat him right now?
I don't think he can.
You take this Axe. Dude, you take this Axe against this HBox that we saw at this tournament? I don't know, man. I think Axe might win.
I think this is... I'll give you this. I think it's a close... At any point in the last 5 years, I think this is the prime moment where Axe can take a set. I'll say that. I don't think he's the favorite to win. I just think that the cards line up that this would be the most likely period to do it.
Yeah. Well, okay. If that's that's as far as you want to go, that's fine, Tafo. But I'd say... if you told me right now that I've seen the tournament, and you tell me like who would win today with the way they were playing, I'd bet on Axe. Straight up.
Okay, we'll take one.
He played amazing.
We'll take 1 to 1.
He played amazing.
I'm going to totally take 1 to 1.
He played amazing.
I'm going to take 1 to 1 on that the next time we're...
But okay, so let's talk about something else. I'm obviously very hyped about Axe winning, and he's one of my friends, and obviously I'm a little jazzed about it. As
I think we all are. I think we need to reiterate this point. This guy loves Melee. I think a lot of people said it. He embodies Melee. He loves Melee. He'll play Melee with any kind of character. He'll play random select. He'll play with items, any stage. This guy just loves Melee, and I'm just really happy that...
Dude, the month after Ultimate came out, he was the only top player streaming Melee. Now everyone's kind of back and everyone's streaming Melee again, as we all expected. But like, he was keeping our directory alive for like a solid month, 2 months, when everyone was playing Ultimate as it released.
Okay,
he's loyal. You got to give him that.
Curly's like he doesn't play. Actually, Curly's mentioning that like he hates Ice Climbers, but like. Axe plays Ice Climbers, and Iron Man's he'll pick Ice Climbers, just letting you know. Anyway, what was the point that you were going to bring up? You said you were going to change, like, something.
Yeah. So here's a question I have. One of the most destructive sets that we saw at this event was a surprising one, because I wouldn't have pegged it as to be as bad as it was. Leffen versus Wizro. Does Leffen have a Wizro problem? Because he got destroyed.
I think it's kind of weird. You know how we mentioned earlier that when Wizrobe grabs Axe, if he misses, he dies? Like, if he misses, he gets grabbed, he's dead. I kind of see that with how Leffen plays, where you see him trying to tech chase or try to push the limits of and punish, but then Wizzy I think Wizzy's core strength is he recognizes when a reversal happens, where you narrowly miss something on Wizzy, and then he reverses and kills you for it. So I always feel that Leffen plays it at a
Mhm.
nice edge. So I think was. With that being said, I think Leffen has a problem, and unless he tools the risk of going for an approach that's very dicey, he's gonna keep losing unless he plays like perfect.
And this is two events in a row, right? Smash and Splash, and now this, where Wizzy put in that work. But this one was real bad. Like that was not a competitive set. That looked like pools.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Levin got destroyed. And look, you never want to extrapolate too much from one set. Maybe just played bad. But you put like Levin played scared. He had bad DIs. Like there was, I think, a knee at like 40-50 on FD, and he just died straight up. Like straight up, he's just dead. He was just not ready for it. And it looked real bad. One thing I'll say is, while I was watching Wizzy and how well he's doing lately, it reminded me of all the John and Ken does. Ken Sephiroth Ken has always done about Falcon. He's always had an insanely high opinion about Falcon. And what he always says is knee is broken. And you know what? Tefo, knee is broken. No one talks about it. Falcon's knee kills motherfuckers at like 40-50%. That's dumb. That is insane. That is so stupid. And Wizzy, like the things he was doing against Axis spot dodges, like the way he's getting them off tech chases, like this dude's reaction time. He is getting people off stage at percents in an era where everyone's crouch canceling and smash DIing, where you can't do anything about it. Like you get need, you're off stage, you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, and there's some moments when I watch the set and I'm just like, this kind of looks like a test. Do you ever get those vibes watching Wizzy?
It sounds. It kind of looks like a what?
Like
Sorry?
a tool assist. Like
Oh, yeah.
literally,
Dude, he's nuts.
It's like I'm imagining how this, like, let's say that he grabs or starts a punish at 20. Like I'm imagining like what the punish should be, and then he does it. Like he not only does he do it, he executes it, which is like another difficult part of like Falcon. It's like accommodating for DIs. It's not easy, but it's kind of like how we neglect like Axis recoveries. Like the things that Wizzy does from an execution and a reactionary standpoint aren't easy, and I think that's where you have to give Wizzy credit.
Wizzy's insane. He is so freaking good. The way he tries to play has such a high. It's so hard to play the way he plays. Basically, people wonder like why don't players like SUJ and None just do what Wizzy does, be optimal, blah blah blah. And sure, they should steal some ideas and maybe they should take some notes, but also like, dude, I don't know if other people can play like he does.
Yeah,
he relies on his reaction times like no other player I've ever seen. He bases his entire game around the fact that he can react to things like no one else. I'm not even sure if he understands how much faster he is at reacting than the rest.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going.
I think what's interesting though is that I think the other Falcons, they rely on reactions to a certain extent. It's not this binary, you either react or you read. There are some moments where Wizzy knows that he can't hit a spot, so he hard reads one option and says, if you roll in, here's the stomp, you lose.
Yeah, and when he does it, it's always a haymaker.
Yeah.
Right? It's always like, okay, I'm going to read this option, but I'm going to make sure it counts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I'm going to lose percentages, like flowchart percentages, because I'm taking a read, it better be worth it,
Yeah.
And no, I respect that. But mostly, like, I think I look at his neutral game more so. Everyone focuses on his punish game, but the way he plays neutral, and he's approaching way more now. It should be noted. It's one bigger change as he approaches way more now. The way he plays neutral, it's so difficult to execute what he does.
Yeah.
It is insanely difficult to execute what he does. So he just blows my mind. Kid blows my mind.
I think back then he used to approach, but it'd be really bad. It'd just be like run across the stage and grab.
Yeah.
Now it's like the call,
or like those bad nairs and things like that. But no, his approaches are much better now.
Like now, like more often than not, he's right on the call out. Like when he runs in, he's more often than not correct on what he's doing.
Yeah, watch that Leffen set. He gets a bunch of dashback reads on Leffen. If you watch that Leffen versus Wizrobe set, Wizrobe is the aggressor almost entirely. Leffen's on the back foot like the whole time, right? It was not one of those methodical Wizrobe playing to the tempo of Fox sets at all. Like, no, he just like ravaged the man. He destroyed him.
Yeah, and it just felt like Leffen was playing. Like when you see Leffen comfortable, he's playing from a position where he's dictating the pace. Like he gets going when he wants, he'll retreat when he wants, and it just felt like Leffen was on the back foot the whole set.
Yeah. Now, I mean, look, again, I don't want to take too much from one set, but that's a matchup I'm looking to from here on out, right? Because Leffen's been doing pretty well, right? Like he beat H-Box, good win, still solid, and ultimately, he got third of this event.
Yeah,
not bad. Leffen has a good argument for third, fourth, right? He's like right there at this point. He had a big inactivity period, but he's still performing quite well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be important for Wizrope to maintain his spot. He's going to have to do well in that particular set.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing that you mentioned, because a lot of people are like, they praise the up-and-comer for their accomplishments, but we tend to neglect what's the status quo for a player that's already there and think that the up-and-comer just like leaps better than the person that's been there for a while, right? In reality, the resumes are pretty similar. Leffen's resume,
and it should be mentioned that like the way Melee works is like, look, Axe was an up-and-comer one day. He's stagnated, if you want to call it that. He was always getting better, but he wasn't getting better at a rate fast enough to really jump in the rankings. But sometimes, like, you hit a light bulb moment, maybe you get the right coaching, the right environment. Most of the time, in my experience, it's like your life is in a better spot. You know what I mean? I found that, like, you should never ignore the old players, right? Like a lot of people assume they just are going to stay at their rank because they've stagnated there for a long time, but those guys can get better too, right? Like even if you've been grinding for a very long time, that's part of why Axis one I felt was inspirational, right? Is he's just been stuck there in that top 10 for so long. Even if you've been playing for a long time, doesn't mean you can't get better, right? Even if you've been plateaued there forever, doesn't mean you can't break that hump. And it's really sick to see it actually happen.
Yeah, I think that's like a really good point, because like you look at that MIOM rank, right? The people who've continued that are like in the top 20, like most of them are stuck in like 10 to 20. Axe was stuck there. And the fact that he like broke through is something that we can't say about many people.
Yeah, that's hard to do. It's so hard to do, to break that plateau. That's like the hardest plateau to break, right? So, we all go home and, we're trying to break that into that PR. Like, oh man, everyone has their own goals, There's a lot of players who feel like, they go to their local and they can beat everyone who's quote unquote bad, but they can't beat anyone good, anyone who they consider good or PR'd, or they can't do that. And some of those people like have straight up plateaued at non-PR'd or around the same position and skill relative to the region for years. Like every region has those players, right? Doesn't mean you can't do it though. Doesn't mean that one day you practice the right way, you grind the right way, you watch enough vids, you really that you can't that change. And I think that's, to me, more than anything, the lesson from Axe and what he did is, as impressive it is for him to win with Pikachu, which is insane, as impressive it is for him as a human being to just win a large tournament. I think it's incredible the resilience that he showed over all those years to still believe in himself that he could do it and just grind the game for the love of the game to this point.
So speaking of like mid-tier characters that like got up in ranks, Amsa, man, like you beat a lot of people.
He's figuring out the Falcon matchup. He's figuring it out. Wizzy was on his back foot against Amsa. I know it was a 3-1, but man, that was close.
He made him work for it.
And he beat none, he beat SUJ this tournament, right?
First time.
SUJ, by the way, so very forgettable tournament for Johnny. Like I almost forgot he was there. Like that's a big deal for Amsa. That's been a problem matchup for him. Yoshi does not do very well against Falcon, and he's figuring it out.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is that I think he's willing to play lame, which isn't a bad thing. You have to do it as Yoshi, right? Whereas I felt like there was like a shot. Everybody has this internal shot clock of, if they don't approach within 2 dash dances, I'm approaching, right? But like Amsa is just content with like knowing like, okay, it isn't my position to jump into my opponent. I'm gonna stand there. I'm gonna stand here, throw eggs. I'm gonna make them outplay me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He's definitely using eggs better now. I think overall his combo game has gotten a lot better.
His patience got way better too. He beat H-Box. Yeah. This is his second time.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot about that. He beat H-Box, bro. What the hell? With Yoshi.
And the crazy thing...
What a god, dude.
The crazy thing about that, I don't remember the exact timing of it, but Game 5, like, he was behind for, like, the first, like, 5 minutes. Like...
Oh my god. The Dreamland? Where, it felt like the game was over. Like, the commentators were talking like the game was over, right? And it kind of felt like that. I was like, dude, Yoshi can't climb back and gain the lead again. And he actually did it. And he was the one who was up by the time timeout came.
Yeah. I think that was, like, out of all the thing, I mean, the Falcon matchup was very impressive to me, but the fact that he was able to grit his way against Hungrybox and force Hungrybox to make moves that he uncharacteristically does, like, was, like, the most impressive thing from Momso this entire tournament for me.
Also, can I make a weird call?
Sure.
I know Mango got ninth. That's the best he's looked in a long time. I think Mango's amazing right now. Overall, like, people are gonna look at that placement, but I just look. You know me, dude. I do the eye test. I look at the gameplay. Mango's amazing. Right?
He's over.
This is.
I think overall he's really good, but like, I think the one issue, the IBDW set was kind of a wash. Like, props to IBDW.
I think he was depressed after the axe.
Yeah.
Because he took axe to game 5, right? It was really close.
Yeah.
Which is a really hard thing to do, by the way. Axe against Falco is dangerous. But like, you look at his pools games, like, overall, like, dude, Mango's. Do you see Mango versus Zane?
Yeah.
He won. Yeah, sure, it was game 5, really
close. And the Plup set? Like, the Plup set was disgusting.
With destruction. Yeah, destruction.
Like,
just like, overall, I felt like Mango really in form. Sure, the results don't always show it. You know, sometimes you get a bad break. He got a bad break in the axe set. And I think the IBDW set, like, again, I don't know what was going on with his mental game, right? Clearly, he was very disappointed going into it. But, and I don't want to take credit away from Cody. I just didn't feel, it didn't feel like the same Mango, like I said. But, you know, I think overall, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mango bounces back and does a very good performance at the next
He's
event.
So close.
Mango's really hot right now. He is really good right now.
Yeah, and like,
he's sharp.
All the Falco mates in here will attest. Beating Plup and Falco Sheik on Battlefield 3 times in a row is incredibly hard. Like, you can't hit Plup on half the stage.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, you know, I don't know what you think about the matchup, but I know Homemade Waffles always like to say that Sheik wins, blah blah blah. But what I know is, throw all that. Plup is really good against Falco, and I know that he was complaining after the set that he, you know, had to switch from Teams Fox into Sheik immediately after to play that set.
Yeah.
But no matter what, like, I really just felt like Mango was all over him. It looked really good. It looked really good. So I wouldn't, if you're a Mango fan, I wouldn't take this result to heart too much. You know.
What do we?
I really do think that the eye test and like how he's looking is really what really matters. You know, that's what really matters. And ultimately, he looked really good.
I feel like I'm gonna blame Ultimate for this, but like, can you name a tournament where like Plups like performed decently well? Like in recent times.
Plups been a disappointment. What's going on, dude? That guy's a god. What the heck?
I guess it's Ultimate. Maybe it's just Ultimate.
Maybe. I don't know. It might also be my theory that right now it's not a dual maining era. You know, maybe he's juggling too much. Juggling Ultimate plus multiple characters, that might just be too hard right now.
Yeah. Like
he's like the only one who's using more than one character right now, which is so weird to say.
Yeah, we were thinking that the dual main thing was going to be more popular. I think like the only thing that Plup has really done in recent memory is beat Zane. And like other than that, I can't really think of what Plup has done really well.
Well, Zane beat him this time.
Yeah.
I was so shocked. I saw Zane running into him, and I was like, uh-oh, this is trouble. And then 3-1, big clap.
Yeah. So...
Not the hottest tournament from Zane, but still decent. I think it must burn if you're Zane, though. Like... There was a point where a lot of people were arguing that Wizzy and Axe were below him, and I think you can't make that argument right now. That burns, you know? Like, you hate to see people pass.
He knows what it feels like to be SFAT now.
See people pass him up. Like Zayn is like ranked what like I don't even I can't do a list in my head, but like 7th in the world now, and it's funny because that feels bad for him. You know, you're like, geez, what happened?
Yeah. Well, maybe he picks it up. Like everything. It feels like if Zayn were to get like top 2 at the next tournament, I wouldn't be surprised, which is like a crazy thing.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah,
He's
they're all so good. I think
they're all so good.
I guess the kind of elephant in the room that we haven't talked about. I guess not quite elephant, but like a lot. IBDW, very impressive.
Oh, we got to give him so much credit. Like especially with how pools went, and it was a struggle. Dude, that guy. His skill has been way better than his tournament results for a while. If you watch his stream, you know that. If you watch like his just local results, things like that, you're like, dude, this guy's he is a lot better than his tournament results, like a lot better. It was very easy to see. I thought he'd do well at this tournament, but like, of course, like this is something else. Like that is a quite the result for Cody. So I'm proud of him. I hope he just changes his tag to Cody because no one likes saying IBW.
Dude, that's so many syllables.
It's too much. Chill out.
I'm just calling him Cody from now on.
I'm just calling him Cody. I don't care what he does. Like, he just changed his tag. No one wants to deal with that. Yeah, dude. Like, I'm really proud of him. I think hard work paid off. He finally performed to his level. Now, I don't want him, to get too high on this. He's got to stay mentally sharp. I think his mental game needs a lot of work. If I'm being honest, like it's worrying to see sometimes like. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the way he's reacting mid-set and during sets, like if I'm a body language expert, I'd just be like, well, come on, man. Stay locked in.
I almost felt like he came in saying to himself, I'm not sure, but like I feel like a part of him was like, I went 0-3 last night. It doesn't get any worse than this. Like I have no fears. Like I already did the worst. Like I think maybe there's something about I did my worst. The only thing that can happen is things can go up and I can think less about my performance because I already performed poorly like the night before. It's almost like the reverse Mango. He like Mango did well on Saturday and then disappeared on Sunday. IBDW doesn't do anything on Saturday and
Yeah, exactly. And also, it should be mentioned that the homie stock that Mango did on Axe, which I hate homie stocks, you know that. That could have changed the whole tournament. Do you remember what happened in the Axe Mango?
Yeah,
set?
So go ahead. You can share it.
So basically, Mango's at like 30, Axe is like 60. Axe misses a ledge dash, I think, he suicides, right? And then Mango homie stocks, right? So he would have been up, I think it was 2 stocks to 1, but he homie stocks, so it ends up being 1 stock all. And then Axe games him like in 2 seconds. Like it was like 2 up airs. He dies at like 6%, And I'm like, dude, that was a pivotal game. I was like that was a very important game. And I like to think that if he was up 2 stocks to 1, he might have won. And it was a questionable homie stock too, because it was a 60% Axe, like Mango had less percent, like, I don't know. And you got to think, like, I wonder if that affected his mental game too. Like, dude, you just gave up a stock and lost. You might basically lost the set off of it too. It did not feel good.
Yeah, and then he would have had his dream matchup in semis into like possibly winners finals. Like he would have had Wizzy.
Yeah, Wizzy and then Leffen.
Yeah.
Like Mango could have won this tournament. That's kind of what I'm saying. Is like, do not overevaluate this loss. He kind of threw it away himself with both the homie stock and like kind of getting depressed and all that. But like his actual gameplay was godlike. Like once you take away the IBW set, of course. But just looking at like purely, Mango's really good right now. Don't fret too hard on it. Hey, Tafel, I think I gotta go. This is a good question.
All right, closing remarks, man.
Closing remarks. Pikachu's broken. I'm telling y'all, dude, this stupid rat. It's the year of the rat. This fucking rat. It's so strong.
Well, there you go. All right. Thanks.
And that's all. That's it. I've been telling everybody, like, don't doubt me next time I make a prediction.
Watch Axe get 9th.
That's all I ask.
Watch Axe get 9th at the next tournament.
Yeah, maybe. Whatever. But in this moment, we're all Axe.
Yes, we were all Axe fans. All right. Thanks for coming in, and have a safe flight back to NorCal.
All right. See ya.
See you, man.
Bye. See you guys. Bye.